Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Terrace podcast. I'm your host, Gary, and I'm joined by the legends from the Terrace, Carl from his house in Snowbound down south, or certainly south to me, and Paul from the North Pole, I think, with his hat on. How you doing, gents?
Yeah, not bad. Bored.
Not bad. Yeah, bored.
Snowed in.
Snowed in, yeah.
I say snowed in, and we're not snowed in. There's a lot of snow, though.
Is it? We had it last week. I was up north. It were nice, really nice.
I had it yesterday. It was lovely.
Yeah. I saw you had a light dusting, mate, didn't you, yesterday as well? So. Anyway, it's good to be back, lads. It's been a while, actually. I think we've all been busy with various other things like work and Christmas and lockdowns and homeschooling and all that time of good stuff. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity for us to catch up now. Christmas is dead and buried for another year, and we can sort of wrap it up. For a few people that are watching live currently, if you want to win some store vouchers, you've got every opportunity to do that. All you simply need to do is leave a comment or a question in the comment section, and one of us three fine individuals will pick some winners at the end of the show to win a store voucher. So yeah, get amongst it. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, smash a like. I'm down with kids now, lads. I've heard this is what you said. So smash a like and share the stream.
To the subscribe button.
I don't know, mate. There's a bell somewhere. Click that as well.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. So anyway, lads, I think the first place to start is obviously we're now towards the end of January. It's gone pretty quick, but obviously Christmas a hectic time for you guys. Just in the run up to Christmas, how bad was it?
It wasn't overly bad.
Well, it was bad.
Yeah, I think it was busy. The busiest Christmas we've had, which is always good. It's always nice to every year do better than the year before. But weirdly, it didn't feel as bad as it ever has because we've got more staff. So obviously we had Craig and Rob and my mum on customer service, and so there's like different kind of aspects of the business that Paul and I didn't get dragged into at Christmas, which was quite a big element this year. It felt quiet. It's so weird. It felt quieter, but it's because we weren't sat there replying to customer service at 2:00 in the morning and pressing and stood at Co-op dropping off 240 parcels every day and stuff. Like, so much has changed in 12 months that it was a very surreal feeling to be busier but feel more calm about it and more in control of it all. And we couldn't really appreciate that until afterwards, I don't think, because it was still busy. We were still, Paul was still down with us there packing orders, and we were all chipping in and so on. And but it was, we felt more in control. It ran smoother. I think orders were up massively, and customer service and like complaints and late deliveries were down. So everything was heading in the right directions this Christmas, I think, and we took some important parts away from it as well that we'll obviously address for next Christmas and just keep trying to better everything we do. And but Christmas was a nice. It was a different period because this Christmas was very different to any other Christmas we've had in the sense that I think clubs relied on us a little bit more because their shops were shut, so there was no footfall for them. There was no matches. There was everything. They were pushed to do everything online, but when you look at the bigger clubs, they already get a massive online kind of set of sales, so they're relying on making up that footfall kind of deficit that they're not getting anymore. But there's only so much they can handle regarding online, so many clubs lent on us a little bit more to do some more products and so on. And there was even a couple of clubs out there where we were providing them products to. It's kind of like the realistic kind of outlook on it is, we're always honest and we'll always say it how it is. Like, the realistic front on it for football clubs right now is that some of them were going into Christmas, where Christmas is the biggest retail time for anyone, whether it's football clubs, whether it's us, whether it's high street shops. And when you think of a football club running normally compared to now, right now there is zero income from fans, from tickets and so on. Sponsorships are down, all this kind of stuff's down. So they naturally rely heavily right now on retail. It's shopping in the club shop, it's buying stuff online on the club shop. That is one of the only main incomes that's coming into a club. Where the trouble lays is on the flip side, with clubs still having to pay out players' wages, staff wages, none of their costs have gone down. So whilst they need to sell more to try and replace income at the club, they can't actually spend more on stock because the money's not there to spend on more stock. So we worked with a couple of clubs over Christmas where what we actually did for them was provide them with products to sell on their store without them holding the stock. So they would sell the stock every day, and then each night they would report to us what had sold. We would hit it onto the presses for first thing that morning, hit it down to the club. They would then ship it to their customers. So what we actually did was we developed a method where clubs could actually run brand new Christmas products, Christmas collections, without actually taking any stock risk. So they were only ordering off of us what they had sold, which I think was really beneficial to quite a few clubs. But on the flip side, that put a lot of pressure on us. We did it to help our clubs, but at the same time, we probably thought we could do more than we could, and we ended up with Paul, pulling night shifts, working through the night to get stock done and down to clubs and stuff, hand delivering it himself to clubs. And
so next year, our own stock issues.
Yeah, because you throw that on top of our own store orders, and it's kind of like, what do you give priority to? Do you give it to the clubs for their customers' orders, or do you give it to our store orders? Our priority should always fall with our store orders, and it always will do. But our clubs look after us, and we like to look after them. Without our clubs, we wouldn't have a business. So we had to kind of weigh that up, and it ended up where everything was just as important as each other. So Paul was working through the night, and then in the morning we'd come in, box all that up, and then Craig and Rob were working through the day, and it was just kind of like ended up being like probably a 20-hour a day operation. But it worked, and everyone was happy, and it helped the clubs, and it's allowed us to take that model away from Christmas, refine it a little bit, look at how we can perfect it, and then next Christmas we'll be able to do it a lot more with clubs. So we'll hopefully be able to eradicate that Christmas stock risk for clubs next Christmas, because it's how it is every Christmas, COVID or no COVID. It's clubs will buy stock of Christmas products, whether it's decorations and Santa stockings and all these kind of things, and then be left with 50% of their stock that's sat in a storeroom until the next Christmas. And what do you do with it? Do you bring it back out next Christmas? And everyone goes, well, I don't want that because I bought it last Christmas. So hopefully we'll be able to develop that side of, that's one of our goals this year, is to assist clubs in eradicating stock risk. So because no football fan, and I'm sure you'll kind of relate to it as well, what we feel is that no football fan wants promotions and deals thrown down their throat, which is for stock the club evidently can't get rid of. There's nothing worse than seeing loads of marketing constantly about buy one, get one free, 2 for 20 and all this stuff. And you look at it and you're like, bloody hell, it's been in the club shop for like 7 years now. Like, I bought that bloody 5 years ago. So hopefully we can kind of develop a way to eradicate stock risk at Christmas and stuff. But that's what we've taken away from this Christmas, really. That's the biggest thing we've taken away.
Do you know, obviously now we're, what, are we 11 months into COVID? I can't remember. It feels like 11 years if I'm truly honest. But, have you guys noticed any sort of evolution in the way that certainly all licensed teams and clubs are working in relation to now COVID and merchandise and stuff like that? Because it's such a weird time, isn't it, for fans? I mean, obviously the club I support at the moment, they're having some real issues with stock levels of kit and and replica kit and training kit. Some of it you can't get for love nor money. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I think the reason for that is simply because most clubs have ordered less than they normally would. You got to think with replica kits and stuff. This was all being sorted during the first lockdown, really, kind of like summer of last year. We were just coming out the end of a lockdown. Clubs had already seen a deficit of income with fans restricted from games. So it's not even a case of stuff being hard to get hold of and so on. It's a case of clubs have probably been ordering what they can afford. It's as simple as that. And, they'd rather sell out than be left with dead stock, because that dead stock, the money equivalent is paying the staff's wages for another 3 months or so on. So, I think, we see, especially Paul, when he's dealing with kind of invoices and stuff, we see a lot of stuff behind the scenes with clubs that fans obviously will potentially never see. It's hard for clubs at the moment. It's hard for any business in sport at the moment. we're fortunate enough that we're not a football club. We haven't got players to pay, and we're not, we're still operating as normal. So we're lucky as that. When it comes to a football club, there's just so many elements to it that have been turned upside down at the moment. And I think retail's one of the toughest ones because clubs need it so badly right now to make money and to keep the cogs ticking. But at the same time, it's one of them areas where they just can't invest in at the moment. So it's a catch-22 at the end of the day, and potentially that's where we come into it, and that's where we can offer assistance and something different for them to expand that retail development stage and offer something without the risk. That's all we're kind of here for at the moment.
I think as well, like particularly in the last 3 months, I don't, aside from the bits that you see on the news, there are still a lot of issues with global freight as well. So you tend to find, for example, that a lot of the stuff that's coming out of Asia, for example, is just held up in backlogs. And there was a big issue in sort of November, end of November, where there was a lack of. Well, there was a lack of. It's going to sound ridiculous, but there was a lack of empty containers in China to have goods put into them. So there's a lot of companies that have got goods sat in warehouses in different parts of the world where they can't get it into a container, and then you've got issues when stuff arrives in the UK. We've had suppliers where they've had stock coming in and the boat will turn up and the dock will say there's no space on the dock to unload it, so they'll literally there's one case in point where the boat left on I think the 12th of December and went to Spain and is literally due back at the end of this next week. So there's product where I know of one particular person who's had a lot of product that was Christmas product that was supposed to come in at the end of November that didn't arrive till the first week of January, which is obviously now dead. But not to say that shortages of club replica kit is from there, but a lot of that stuff's made in countries around the world. China, Asia, Turkey, places like that, and 9 times out of 10 they're not sending that in a box with DHL that costs 50 quid. They're putting it into a container and shipping it in. So, there's a lot of that stuff is still getting ironed out at the moment. But it's just, I think that's a combination of primarily it was COVID issues originally. Because obviously at the ports now, the priority in the ports for unloading and shipping out is PPE. So, all that kind of stuff.
There was a shortage of mugs as well, weren't there?
Well, I mean, we kind of came up against it in probably around the 10th of December. We reached a point where we were we planned to have a certain amount, and our supplier had planned a certain amount. And, I'm bringing them up going, yo, we need more. And they're like, yeah, the delivery's not coming, basically. So, we were scrapping around for probably the best part of 3 weeks buying pallets from anybody who was selling pallets for whatever price they were selling pallets for. And
we're buying mugs in for well over the odds of what we normally pay because
at least
they just weren't there.
More.
Yeah, and it's just a case, we had to sacrifice our profit margins to ensure our customers were still getting their orders on time, and so we were ordering pallets in from different suppliers for overinflated prices, but we also, at the same time, got more business throughout December because of that. We had football clubs contacting us saying we need more mugs because, we've still got another 10 days till the Christmas cut-off and we're out of mugs and they're such top sellers. And they were literally coming to us just saying our current suppliers haven't got any mugs. There's none in the country, and there wasn't. But
it sounds so ridiculous, doesn't it? And so trivial.
But they were just literally floating around in the sea on a boat because they couldn't dock. They couldn't get them in the country. Yeah. So we'd overestimated on purpose of what we were going to need at Christmas. So we had spare pallets in, so we were just like, yeah, we can take the order. So we were taking orders from Premier League right down to League 2 of club shops that needed mugs for Christmas sales. So, and we were printing them, and again, that's added workloads during one of the busiest times of the year. So again, there we were. I won't say what clubs they were, but one of the Premier League clubs needed something really urgently. It was within 48 hours. So Paul again was there pressing them through the night, ready to ship them up. I think you drove them up as well, didn't you?
I did. I did too. I think we did one where twice, I was there till 1 o'clock in the morning, loaded a van up, went to sleep, and then got up at 6 and drove there, and then came back and straight back in the office packing orders with the rest of them.
It's commitment. That's commitment.
To To be honest, though, it sounds crazy, but like even that, it still wasn't a patch on last Christmas. So
no, the year before was just.
I
I
think you
Christmas
forget
any day of the week.
Yeah, I think you forget that in the sense that I'm there till being stood up there till 10 o'clock at night is quite an easy shift compared to last year because it genuinely was morning till morning like of work and like I mean we're still busy and we're still chipping in as and where we need to. We obviously have different roles now where there's still a lot of work, but if something needs doing, we get it done. Carl was going in on Sundays printing stuff and getting stuff ready for the Monday, and like it's just we've kind of always had that attitude. Really, it's just you just got to do what you got to do. It's like you can't. I always have that attitude and that kind of saying that and the mentality, to be honest, that like don't expect like the people that work for you to be in the trenches if you won't be in the trenches with them. Like you kind of have to lead by example, so to speak.
And
no, mate, I totally agree.
Just to note as well, as a shout out to all of our staff last Christmas. Like it was just Black Friday and Christmas, like, and that goes right through to not just the guys in the office, but Nathan, the designer, and Grady, who helps us as well with illustrations and stuff. Like everybody, right to the bone, was just churning out everything that was needed. And yeah, it was a good period. Like Christmas was good for us, and it was good, and it allowed us to invest in certain areas of the business at the start of this year. So we can, I think, on behalf of all of us, we owe a huge thank you to everyone that supports us. And granted, yeah, they were buying gifts for friends and family for Christmas and stuff, and the fact that they think of us and want to shop on our store is awesome, and their support over Christmas has allowed us to invest in the business and to step things up again. So yeah, I think on behalf of Paul and I and the whole team and stuff, like there is a massive thank you there to say. And yeah, on to the next Christmas.
Yeah. Before we get on to his next talking point, I'm just going to get a couple of comments because they are coming in and keep them so I can get around to mentioning them all. Darren Snow says, "Evening, guys. Finally listening to one of these live and not after the event." Jamie Simpson, Terrace Paul, what is that mug you're drinking from?
It's something I can't do at the moment.
Adventure every day.
Yeah.
A little bit difficult.
I'm so desperate just to be out in the wilderness with nobody around.
Mate, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Yeah. Well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the second bit of this, but Sam, I'm guessing it's some sort of football related surname kind of thing, says, really enjoying this so far, so that's good. I'm glad people are enjoying it. Gav Jones says, I both.
Hello.
What do you think the best product is? And also, what do you think is your most underrated product? It's a good question.
Oh, best product and most underrated product. That is a good question.
Do you want to think about it and come back to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that then. We'll think about it and come back to it. Phil Russell says the Terrace is the best thing that's happened to the Sheffield Wednesday club shop.
Interesting. A very interesting comment that is. We get it sounds stupid. We get that comment from a few places quite often regarding Wednesday, and we've got a section in the Wednesday club shop, and I was actually quite impressed with their club shop, to be honest. I thought it was quite good. There was certain elements of it that can always be improved, as with any club shop and so on. But it's been great to work with Wednesday. Like they've been really supportive in like our visions and our ideas. And if they're liking what we've done already, they're in for some treats over the next few months. There's some pretty cool Wednesday stuff to come out. But more about that in a couple of months' time.
Yeah, lads, I'm that committed to the Terrace that actually when I'm around Sheffield when the shop's open again, I'm gonna bob into the Wednesday club shop and have a little look.
Here we go.
I'm gonna go undercover behind enemy lines and go and have a look.
The best products we do, I can tell you what that is actually. And it's the
I wonder what you're
going
to say. Yeah,
Terrace face mask is the best product we do.
Oh, mate, I've got to say as well, those new ones with the black. Oh, so
yeah,
I literally wore one last week for the first time. It's so.
Hold on, what's this? I've got to wear one all day at work now. Talk to me about new face masks. What are these?
No, they're exactly the same face mask, but rather than the white strap, they've got this thinner black one.
And it's a bit of a different material in it.
Yeah, it's more like a not a shoelace, but it's like a thin tubing It's elasticated. But those face masks, by a long way, are our best product, and I think I can confidently say that because the sheer levels of feedback we get on it on Twitter, and we're talking about people that don't normally shop with us. These are people that have the only Terrace purchase they have ever made is a face mask, and that was because it was free, and there was a deal on a free face mask to just pay the postage, and it means the world to us when they come back to us and are like, "This is literally the most comfiest face mask we've ever worn." We've got like Premier League clubs have asked for like packs of 40, 50 of them because they want all the staff in the shop wearing them because they're so comfy and they're reusable and washable. And yeah, I think we nailed it with those face masks. Like the quality they're just not like the ones you can buy off the shelf. They are made to order and they are specific design for a specific fit. So yeah, I think people that are watching or listening that own them will agree that they are one of our finer products we have released. The most underrated product for me is the Terrace tracksuit. And I know I'm just talking about Terrace products here, but that Terrace tracksuit is so comfy, like so comfy. And the quality and the finish to it is unbelievable. And like people that wear sports gear and stuff, they usually wear in Nikes and Adidas's and Gymsharks and so on, so that they're used to this finish and stuff, and like give the Terrace tracksuit bottoms and stuff like a whirl. Like, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about the fit and stuff of them. They're not cheap. They're good. We just charge affordable prices, and that's part of our business vision. And there's a whole range of lifestyle products to come in the coming weeks. So we're about to really open that up.
Yeah, I can't think what I think's the most underrated. Probably that.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah, you're probably right, because it's probably more of a.
I tell you what, as well, the blankets are underrated.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a very.
He's got one. Look at him. The blankets, are literally the softest material of anything.
Yeah. So good.
In my house.
So good. I'm currently donning mine just below the camera because it's quite cold in our bedroom. And I'll be honest. In fact, I sent you guys a picture. I spend a lot of time in Wales in the winter months, and I take it with me to Wales now because the hotel beddings. Well, it's poor. So I take
those blankets are just like they're. I don't think they're expensive. They're like what, 27.99 or something. And I think, but it's something you buy, and it's obviously got either one of your retro kits you've chosen, or it's got stadium artwork and so on. And it's something that you put in the living room or whatever. But the quality of it is something you will have for years upon years upon years. Like the material's just awesome, and the print on it's incredible. And that's for me probably actually our most underrated product.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
People won't be disappointed if they buy them.
No, I agree with that. They're very, very good. Just going back to your comment about the face masks. I now have to wear one full time at work all day, every day, and that's not a moan, by the way, because there's people who have been doing that for literally months. But what I found with the Terrace face mask compared to many others is I can actually still talk in it. And actually still breathing it, whereas others,
because it
I have to literally pull it
across your face.
That's it. The others, I have to literally pull it off my face to be able to speak. Otherwise,
because it's not. It doesn't have like a face mask you pick up from most places and that are printed on. And in fairness, even the ones that we print kits onto, they have an elastic around the edge of the mask that then goes into the strap. So when you pull it, it actually pulls the mask, stretches it flat across your face, whereas the Terrace face mask is one that is cut and sewn to the shape of the face, so it sits over your face rather than stretches over your face. So, yeah, it's another comment we get quite regularly about how easy it is to talk, but also how easy it is to wear with glasses. There is a knack to it on how you wear it, but
I have to tuck it under the thing and then press it down, and it keeps the hot air from coming out.
There is a way, because of the way it sits, that you can get away with keeping your glasses on as well, which is a big thing at the moment for glasses wearers,
blind people.
Getting a few more comments then. Dean says announce Preston. Emma Burnell says this is a really great insight. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And Dean says Preston retro shirts anytime soon, lads.
Yeah, we keep getting asked about that. It's something that's been in discussion for months. There's something there. It's not as simple as just going, here's a Preston retro shirt because we've got the license. There's a lot more elements to that. There's COVID delayed everything with that. Delayed sampling, delayed discussions with members of certain teams and stuff being on furlough. outside of the Terrace. So that delayed discussions, delayed talks, delayed plans that the club has and stuff. So there's a whole bigger picture across like the next 12 to 24 months regarding shirt releases and stuff. And what we have to take into consideration at all times is clubs selling their current shirts. So let's say we hit a point where the club are about to do a deal on the current shirt and whack that down to 50% off or something, or they're about to announce the new shirt. Us releasing replica shirts at the same time doesn't fit that model, because it's not fair to take the focus away from what they're doing on current shirts, because they've got to make money too. So there's a whole bigger picture of it, but it is there. It is in motion. It is in talks. Will it happen this year? I hope so. Will it happen before Christmas? I hope so. It's just something that's just got to be discussed, and there's a few meetings and conversations to be had. And
it's a lot harder than you think, isn't it?
It really is.
Sometimes underestimate like how long certain things take just because of the process.
Yeah, we released Luton Town released a retro shirt that's by us on Friday, just gone, so 2 days ago. I had that sample in my office at the end of November. That's how long it takes. It's not something that you can just. It depends. If we're releasing it, we can receive the sample and have it up within 48 hours because we're in control of it and stuff. But it's cool. We've got I'd say probably 6 new retro shirts coming out in the next 2 months, 6 weeks. So there's lots going on and a lot for different clubs fans to be excited towards, and more will be revealed in the coming weeks.
Yeah, so keep your peepers peeping towards the Terrace website, and you'll get to see the retro shirts, to see some other stuff here. Then Sam, again, really enjoyed this. This is great for the transparency of your brand. That's why we started the podcast.
Always transparent. You can pretty much ask us most things, and we'll answer it within reason.
Yeah, Gav Jones. For me, the most underrated is the kit pin that came in the first subscription box.
So a lot of people loved that as well, and I mean, they were all right. Like, I think we could have been more. I think we could have definitely been more elaborate with the design on it. It was just a pattern on that little. Paul might not even remember it.
Yeah, I remember.
Little circular pin badges. Yeah, we could actually release them on the store. Like, we can print them on demand. So they're fiddly to do, but a lot of people were big fans of them in that first subscription box. It's something we should probably look into this year.
Yeah, and Emma Bernal says that tracksuit top is amazing. I love mine. So bit of feedback right there and there.
Feedback you need.
Yeah, before we move on to talking about shirt sleeve sponsors in the FA Cup, I just want to mention, you talked about it a little bit earlier on, new members of staff coming on board. You've got somebody who weren't old enough to witness the Tony Yeboah goal against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Not too sure.
He might be listening now, because he messaged me earlier and said, I didn't even know we did a podcast. And I was like, I have to tune in later, so he might even be watching.
Probably wasn't.
We took on Terrace. Matt started on, I can't remember his first day.
2 weeks ago, tomorrow.
2 weeks ago. And we hired him in December to start in January, and that was purely a selfish hiring on me, really. But it wasn't it's for the benefit of the business. But so the last 12 months has dominantly been both Paul and I running the business and doing the business side of things, and sometimes the exciting things, sometimes the boring things. But whilst doing what I do within the business, I've also been printing every single order that comes into the store every morning. So I'd come in at 7:30 and probably spend the first 4 hours a day, maybe 5 hours a day, printing everybody's orders. So the guys have got stuff to print and press during the day. And we've got to a point now where I think the business is of a certain size, and there's certain deals to be revealed soon and stuff. And there's some bigger stuff going on behind the scenes at the moment that I can't sacrifice that many hours in the day anymore. So we advertised on Twitter, of all places, and Matt got in touch, and I had a chat with him down the office and stuff. And we brought Matt in to solely just be printing orders. And he's absolutely smashing it. He's doing really well. And he is just coming in every day, full time, and just printing everybody's orders throughout the day, from personalised orders. And then we're going to start bringing him into other little different elements of the business as he kind of gets to grips with it all. But 2 weeks in, and he's absolutely flying, and it's allowed me to. It's really opened up my schedule for the day. Like excuse me, I said to Paul the other day, like since the start of this year, I've had more Zoom meetings and phone meetings and meetings in general than I did the whole of last year, and that shows how much time I've gained. I think I've probably gained the best part of 25 to 30 hours a week, which is just insane. I've gained nearly 3 days a week. It's just
a big change.
People always say like, "Oh, I wish there was more hours in the day" and so on. And I have literally gained 3 days a week nearly. So yeah, it's allowed a lot of things that we're working on to speed up, which I think is important because Paul and I have got certain projects we've been working on and aspects of the business we're trying to build that we've probably spent 12 months trying to build now, and suddenly within 2 weeks they've gone further along than they have in a year. So we're at a point now where we're hiring in the sense.
Hey, can I just butt in? Look at this. Look at this.
It's my wife. She's a good tea lady.
A replacement Terrace. Terrace.
Yeah, so I've gone from the gold one, which I love, to the Kevin Sinfield one, which I bought for my wife. So yeah.
Fantastic.
So we brought obviously the young pup on. Last time we spoke,
can I just say as well in that, like, whilst it's like Carl said, like we've kind of tried to make a lot of we're trying still to make a lot of internal changes that kind of not allow us to step back from the business, but allow us, both of us, to step back from more of the daily sort of tasks that take place to be able to actually have more time to focus on projects. Like there's a lot of projects Carl's kind of talked about in the last 6 to 8 months where it's kind of like, yeah, I really want to do this, and it hasn't happened, and it can't happen because you can't sit. They're not the kind of tasks where you can sit there for 20 minutes and work on it and then go off and do something else and try to come back to it days later. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, he'll tell you himself that like you spend all day printing orders and doing whatever else, and then in the evening sit there doing emails, and it's like,
yeah,
that should really be part of your day, sort of running the business. It's almost like it's kind of always sounds as though it's like a sort of upper and lower echelon thing, but it's like the director of the company can't empty the bins whilst trying to cut deals and stuff. It's just kind of, you need to make certain tasks and certain jobs function with other people. Plus as well, it's great to give other people more responsibilities. Like, even Craig's taken on, a lot more tasks and stuff like that, which has taken time out of my schedule to be able to focus on sort of doing other things. And it's as much as you want to have your hand in everything. Yeah, you want to have your hand in every part of the business, but you physically can't do that all the time. And it's just, as well for us, because obviously it's our business. Carl will probably say as well, like sometimes it's difficult to put your nose out of something and to just sort of let someone else get on with it, because you're kind of always used to it, or you want to be able to kind of always know what's going on a daily basis in different little things, and sometimes you just can't do that.
I think everybody stepped up as well, like with Rob, Craig, and even my mum on customer service. Because we're in obviously we'll come on to like new premises and stuff, but like she's taken on board some new tasks and everything's kind of streamlined at the moment. Everything's running really smoothly, but it's allowed Paul and I to just step back and just do what we've got to do. Like, so Paul was saying about the bins and stuff, it's like, we will always chip in and do our bit and everything, but doing that whilst trying to develop the company and do the business side of things is like the most impossible task ever. And we've done some hiring and made some decisions now and changed some processes that's now allowed us to do that. And it's like, since we came back in January, we get 3 or 4 collections a week by the courier for our parcels every day. And I haven't seen him once this year. And that's, because I don't need to be involved in that. Like Craig handles that. He's our production manager. He handles all of that. And I think part of it is not just us stepping back, but us allowing, and like it's like what Paul said, it's us allowing our staff to grow as well. So we've allowed people the responsibility and the upgrades and stuff within their job roles and responsibilities. And, everything seems to be running just fine. And I haven't seen our courier for 2 weeks now, but I assume everything's going out, and I'd soon know about it if it wasn't. But it's just shown I think it's shown Paul and I that we don't need to micromanage stuff, and we don't need to be involved in every single little aspect. Like, our staff are competent and experienced and probably know more about what they're doing than we do by now, because time has gone on that they have developed within their role that they know how to do the job that they're doing better than what we do. We may well used to have done everything, but we don't anymore. And I think we've taken that on board and just kind of let them grow into their role and change the processes to suit them and develop their ways of doing things quicker and more efficiently. And it's working. I think we've put responsibility in the right places, and everything's ticking along. And I'm just absolutely stoked that I've gained like 30 hours a week. It's so good. Like, my inbox, like, I go on a Friday and my inbox is down to like 10 now rather than 110. It's brilliant.
Strangely, I've gone the opposite way because I've currently got about 75 still in there.
You mentioned it a little bit there, Carl, before we carried on, and we were joking a little bit with the GIFs on Twitter about the stepbrothers with so much room for activities. But you've moved into a new premise. I saw some photos obviously going there. It looks absolutely amazing. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? How far is it away from the old place, which I love?
It's round the corner from the old place. So if you go to the old place, it's like an extra 30-second drive. It's literally round the corner. But
Gotcha.
it was an opportunity that just came up for us. It was right before Christmas, and we literally
it wasn't planned either.
It wasn't planned. It just literally kept an opportunity come up. I think it was when we took delivery of all the extra pallets of mugs for Christmas and stuff, and we realised we're outgrowing this unit massively. Like, we're struggling here for space, and randomly this opportunity come up for a new unit, and obviously with that comes additional costs. Like, we had to pay out a lot of money up front for this unit and stuff, and that's where the kind of what I was saying earlier about being thankful for the orders over Christmas and the support over Christmas, because that's what allowed us to upgrade the premises. But we've upgraded now. We have like a whole downstairs production area with racking and like mini warehouse racking system and stuff, and then there's 2 massive office rooms upstairs that are all open plan, and like there's myself and Matt in one room, but Matt will be going into the other room once I finish training him, and then you've got Craig and my mum in the other room as well. So there's 3 of them in that room, and there's probably enough room for another 2 to 3 members of staff in there. And then in my room, the plan will be that potentially over the course of this year, maybe next year, we will have requirements to be hiring kit supply managers and different kind of sales managers in different areas of the business. And they will work in the room with me, but I've probably got room in my room for another 6 or 7 members of staff. So the big difference with this new premises is we've got room to grow into it. And I think everywhere we've gone before, it's been the size for us. So we've outgrown it very quickly. Whereas this place, we've still got so much space, and we're in and we're set up and we're running smoothly. So it's exciting that we can introduce new areas of the business and new ideas, and it not kind of sacrifice the smooth running of the business, because we've just got room to do everything we want. So much room for activities, like you said, Gary.
Yeah, I think we were just having like not that we were necessarily struggling in the old place, but you could see sort of you start to like when people start tripping up over each other, and especially at Christmas, like with the orders that were going out every day, you couldn't get out of the back door because there was pallets everywhere and there was stuff all over the place. And I think just that issue of having things on a different level upstairs, and there was reality like room for Carl in the office and potentially one other person if you squeeze them in. But it's like, I think we kind of always said like, we're probably by summer going to have to move out of here. And I mean, the opportunity came at a time when we weren't really expecting it. So it's kind of one of them, like, it was the premise itself was too good an opportunity not to take. But obviously, like Carl said, with that comes us having to go, right, okay, we need to invest in this and this, and it's kind of the right step. And we could probably triple the footprint of the business and still be able to fit in the same space, the new space, which makes a change from having to think like, right, where would we actually put one extra piece of equipment, because you physically couldn't fit anything in the old place.
Yeah, it's just proves your growth as well, doesn't it? You talked about right at the top of the show that Carl, you've managed to get time back, and this Christmas didn't seem as hectic as last Christmas, although it obviously was from a business standpoint. And it just shows, doesn't it, that the business continues to grow and
exactly.
Get bigger, yeah.
It's growing beyond a lot of people. I've done a couple of other podcasts recently and been asked to answer some questions in some interview bits where we've announced stuff. And one of the main questions is always like, where do you see the business in kind of 5 years' time? And I couldn't answer it because I think 2 years ago, people would ask us that question. And where we expected to be in 10 years' time was where we are now. And so I have no idea where we'd be in 5 years' time. It could literally be anywhere. And that's the joy of it. Every year is just bringing us something we can't even keep up with, and that's how we like it.
I'm expecting that my hair's going to fall out and I'm going to look like Gary within the next 2 years.
Yeah, I've given mine a little trim because I'm back at work tomorrow, so I've got rid of it. I had a little bit of a like a Mad Monk thing going off. Looks a bit like Friar Tuck, so I've took it off. Before we get an exclusive, one that I'm personally excited about, I'm going to get into Carl in a minute. A couple more comments. Darren Snow, there's no Terrace Gary yet, so you've still got a chance, Gary.
Well, you can change your Twitter handle whenever you want, my son.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not allowed to recruit another Gary. There's only one Gary. Jamie Simpson laughing at my table service. Yeah, it's like Witherspoon's house. You don't get off your chair now. Just ask for what you want. Jake, I think we've touched on this a little bit at the top of the show. How has the pandemic affected you guys? Love what you do and love how much you give back. And then he's got another question here that we haven't covered. What is the worst suggestion for a new product you've ever had? Please don't say mine for the mug. I had it better go.
I don't know the word. The thing is, there are no bad suggestions, and I think that's why our business works. Because if someone sees a need for something, we listen to that. And that's the whole reason we're here, is because to give fans what they want and stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've had some weird suggestions. Like we've had some stuff where it's not weird though. It's just like really far out that we'd never be able to make it happen, like curtains and stuff. Even though we can do roller blinds, we just choose not to. But but I mean, weird suggestions are probably any. I mean, if I have to read one more, we joke about it, kind of like ourselves and stuff. But if I have to read one more comment about bloody dog bowls and cat bowls, I'm just going to lose my marbles, because that seems to be the constant suggestion at the moment. There's some very specific machinery that's required, and Paul really wants to do them.
I would do it. I'd do it tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll probably end up doing them, and it's
it's just, this is another thing though. That's a thing where it's like when Carl says about like getting this time back, like just to be able to do that, I can tell you
we've got to master some new piece of machinery.
Some equipment's going to have to get bought. It's going to probably not work. It's going to get thrown in the bin.
Carl's going to lose his rag with it and throw it in the bin.
Carl's going to punch it, probably break it. Yeah, and then it. But the thing with it is, it's something that takes time. Like you have to test that stuff, and you have to make sure that it works and it comes out good. It's not something where we can just click our fingers and go, oh, we're going to print on this. Like, yeah, forget it. I mean, even last week, like just the time involved in, launching a new product like we did last week, like probably spent all afternoon listing products on, Carl probably spent 10 hours just, putting stuff on it. And it took me 3-4 hours just to put the products online. And that's just the first batch. And it's like, it doesn't just happen overnight, sadly, as much as I wish that we'd have 50, 60 different products already. You have to think like how that's going to get into the different workflows that we have, how Matt's going to print it, how Craig and Rob are going to press it, and how it's going to get packed and delivered. And, is the stock available in the country? And, there's a lot more to it than just thinking,
that's just a really good point, because there's like loads of cool products we want to do, but the stock's not in the country. Yeah. So we're just on hold waiting for stock to come in, and there's no point us going to source and using one of our suppliers in China, because if some of the bigger stockists in the UK that we usually buy from can't get it in, there's no chance that we're going to get it in on a container anytime soon. Do you know what I mean?
So that's a whole different pain in the arse.
That segues me perfectly. We've discussed about the company and the growth, and how the company's evolving. During the evolution of the company, did you ever imagine seeing the Terrace on sleeves in the FA Cup?
Absolutely not.
No, I was aiming for Champions League, to be honest. But
one day, I'll never say never. I love doing stuff like that, but there'll be a day that comes where I ring Paul and say, I've just took a sleeve sponsorship for the Champions League.
That'd be
But
amazing.
no, that you know, what we've done with a couple of clubs in the FA Cup has been a lot of fun. It's been, and what I like about it the most is how it's the reason we've done it and stuff has changed throughout. So like we did the Plymouth third round sleeve sponsorship first, and you know, one of the selling points of that was simply that they were going to be wearing the black shirt. It's just such an amazing shirt. Yeah. So, you know, we worked with the club closely to get we actually, for the first time ever, we actually separated our logo, which most people just won't even like pay any attention to. But to me, it was quite a big deal because our logo has always been the T emblem with the Terrace written after it. And what we actually, as you can see in the bottom corner of this screen, but what we actually had to do to get a more... So we also sponsored Bristol Rovers sleeve. And I think the reason I bring that in now is what people won't have seen is the time that I spent with the clubs working to get the sleeve print right, because I think not enough time when sleeve sponsorships are done do brands respect the shirt enough. So the first one that was presented to us was the Plymouth shirt. We were told it was going to be black. So we wanted, and our corporate color, well, corporate, we're not a corporation, but our company brand colors are black and white. So the fact they were playing in the black shirt excited us, and obviously we went for a white print, and we actually split the logo. So the Terrace emblem went above the word Terrace, which gave us a more kind of flow of the logo on the sleeve and the way that you read down the sleeve. And that was just, you know, it looked stunning. It looked great on TV. It was just remarkable, and we were so happy with it. And in the build-up to that third round, Bristol Rovers got in touch, and they were still looking for a sleeve sponsor, and we did a deal with them as well. And that was the one that I was quite proud of, because what you notice on that Bristol Rovers shirt is that it's a Macron shirt, and the Macron logos actually run down the sleeve in a coloured strip. So it presented quite an issue about how we were going to put our logo on the sleeve, because it would require us to put a big square box over the thing. It would just, and you know, we have to respect that this is a club and a fan set's shirt. Like, this is what they relate to and stuff. And we don't want to go and just stick some monstrosity on the sleeve that makes the shirt look horrendous. So after a lot of measuring with Tom at the club and a lot of kind of ruler work and kind of perfecting this design, we actually managed to get the Terrace logo to run within the strip down the side of the sleeve, so it looked kind of naturally like it had always been there. And I think the fans appreciated it. Like, it seemed like once I'd spent so much time in getting it right, I kind of said to myself, like, was that even worth it? Like, should I have just slapped it in a square on the sleeve? But the reaction we got to how nice our logo looked on the shirts from the fans on Twitter on the day showed that we were doing it right, and we weren't just a gambling company slapping a square on the sleeve with, you know, I saw some sleeve sponsors that were like, because they were these companies are so desperate to keep within their corporate colors, and you know, it's about them. They're sticking their logo in square boxes on sleeves that are in colors that are that club's rivals team's colors and stuff. And it's just like, there's no thought in it. There's no respect for the shirt or the club. So that was one thing we did, and that went really well. You know, Bristol Rovers lost to Sheffield United and Plymouth won. And then they got presented to us about, did we want to do Plymouth's fourth round shirt, which we kind of wanted to continue the story. It was, the fans reacted so well to the third round shirt, and we were like, you know, we want to do the fourth round. But in a realistic term, I said to Paul, like, putting our logo on that sleeve, what are we going to gain? We are going to gain absolutely nothing. Everyone that's going to see that logo on that sleeve saw our logo on the sleeve in the third round. So we're literally going to gain nothing, but I still want to do it to support the club. So that's when we decided to basically pay for the sleeve sponsorship and then gift it to the mental health crisis line in Plymouth, because we thought, given the current circumstances of COVID, given the trouble that people are having, you know, we're all doing pretty well, but we're all, you know, off air before this, we were talking about how bored we are, how this we are, how, you know, we're struggling with this, and it's hard homeschooling, it's hard not being allowed out. Paul's missing going out in the van to random mountains and countryside at the weekends. You know, we're all missing stuff, and you know, there's people that I want to see that I haven't seen for months now, and there's all this kind of stuff going on. And I think now more than ever, people rely on these. There are people out there that rely on these crisis lines. And what blew my mind regarding Live Well Southwest was they rushed through the crisis line to be set up. I think that was in May or June. And since June to now, they've had 15,000 calls just in Plymouth in the Southwest. 15,000 calls in 6 months. And if that doesn't highlight that there's an issue, then nothing does. Yeah. So we decided that sometimes it's nice to, we wanted to support the club financially and make sure that they were looked after for the sleeve sponsorship. But, there's only so many times you can post on your Facebook and your Instagram and your Twitter and look at us. We've got our logo on a football sleeve. Like, how cool are we? Like, there's only so many times you can post it and stuff. And we'd had our fun. We'd had people see our logo. We'd been on telly. It was great. But that 4th round shirt was probably the most important sponsorship we've done. And we got to highlight for a day, well, for the build-up as well, we got to highlight that, the comment saying that it's okay to not be okay. And it looked great on telly. The build-up looked great. Live Well were, over the moon with it. I know there was some BBC Devon coverage in the morning, so they got to talk about what they were doing on BBC Breakfast Show and stuff. So it shone a light in an area that we felt needed addressing. And that's how the 4th round went. And Plymouth played well. It was a good game. And maybe Sheffield United is our curse because they're the ones that knocked out Plymouth after knocking out Bristol Rovers. But we were proud to be involved, and it was a really good campaign for us, we think.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to go back to, it's kind of a little bit sycophantic, but I can liken it myself a little bit. Obviously, it's for anybody who listens regularly, they know I've got another podcast, and it's something that I've grown from nothing really, invented by me and another person, and grew it to. And just recently, it's been included in a historical mishmash of like a cartoon. I've seen like these jigsaws or like jigs, like a million things going. It looks like a bit like a Where's Wally thing. An artist has done one related.
It's amazing. It's actually amazing.
One related to, it's actually got our podcast logo on it.
That's amazing.
It's up on me. It's up on my son's wall, and I nip in every now and again just to have another little look. And I know it is a little bit sycophantic, but it's something that I've created from dot. And there's got to be a moment for you guys as well, looking at that Terrace on the sleeve and looking obviously at Banbury as well. We just sit back a little bit in your chair and have a little look and just think, something to be really proud of. Have you had them moments, the pair of you?
Yeah, I think every time I see the logo anywhere, it's something to be proud of. It's, Paul and I started this from nothing, and I was actually having this conversation the other day. We've you see these things on like Dragon's Den and stuff where people are like, I've remortgaged the house, I've sold all my assets to pump it into this business. This is my idea, and so on. Like, we haven't had to do that. We've just been ourselves and just kind of put an idea on the table, and we're fortunate that we're technical minded and business minded to kind of make things happen the way it has. And so I think seeing our logo and people, hearing people's comments about loving what we do and all this kind of stuff, like it's everything makes us proud. And I think the thing that makes us proud the most is when something good happens for someone else, and that's because of us. Like, and that's not just like a knight in shining armor kind of thing. Like, to see someone else benefiting and us benefiting at the same time, and everybody's winning, like that for us is the holy grail of this business. Like, 'cause it's what we stand for. It's the whole ethos of it. But yeah, sitting there and putting BBC iPlayer on and seeing our logo on sleeves and stuff, and like it's a little bit surreal, to be honest. But hopefully it's something we get used to. We want to do more. I had Paul doesn't know about this, but I had a conversation the other day about front of shirt sponsorship with someone, and there's loads of things going on and stuff. Why is this not going to happen? Paul's absolutely petrified right now because he's like, well, how much money are you spending on this? But but it's because I'm talking to clubs about things for 4 years down the line, 3 years down the line and stuff, like making plans for, and that's what I think is the proudest thing about this business, is that we're no longer looking at the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months. We're talking about 2 years down the line, a year down the line. Where do we want to be in 3 years' time? Where do we, we're making business decisions based on, is that sustainable for years to come, not months to come, and so on. So that's a proud moment because it shows longevity in the business and the brand is installed in our heads.
I think sometimes those things can pass you by. Like, it's kind of, you enjoy it kind of in the moment rather than, like, I mean, I was just thinking for a second then, I was like, the first time when when Exeter City were on Sky and we had like an advert on a board, and
on the
banner at Deepdale on the Preston I Follow that was on Sky as well when they played Derby, and it's like stuff like that. The thing that's weird to me like about stuff like that is it's literally like down the road from my house. Like I drive past there all the time, and it's like, yeah, that was on Sky, and that was literally just over that top of that roof, and like I think sometimes those kind of things skip you by sometimes because of the stuff that you're doing on a daily basis. I don't think that often you can dwell too much on those things because it's kind of, you still have sort of the nuts and bolts that you're trying to deal with on a daily basis. But I kind of think sometimes that I'll look back and think like, that was pretty cool, that, wasn't it? I mean, I look at it at the time, like the FA Cup stuff's been amazing, like, on TV and like, that kind of
the
stuff.
Banbury
like,
kit,
Banbury, the Banbury,
in our
just going to the game to watch them, just going to watch them like playing football in our kit is like
in the FA Cup, like the FA Cup. I will never ever forget the FA Cup for this year. This year will, I think, for the rest of my life, be my favourite ever FA Cup year because it just meant so much. And I think even away from Plymouth and Bristol Rovers, like the whole Banbury United stuff with the first round and on telly and stuff in our first ever kit for them, it was just something else. Like, you can't ever forget moments like that.
I think that's also probably a big thing for you as well, because that's
for me, of course. Yeah, of course.
I just need Glossop North End to reach the first round proper.
Listen, it could happen. It could happen. Lads, before we start to move on and get a couple more comments that are coming through, talk to me about beer and alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. Everyone loves a beer, don't they?
Actually, no.
No, well, okay, yeah. Most people love a beer, don't they?
I do. Too much, yeah.
So in the coming weeks, as a bit of an exclusive, in the coming weeks, I hope it will be in the next kind of 2 to 3 weeks, we will be releasing the first ever Terrace lager. And it's a little bit of a, it's an opportunity for our customer base to pick up a drink and share a drink with us and stuff. And like, times are pretty rough at the moment in the football world. People are missing football, missing away days, missing going out drinking with their mates at football and stuff. And so we're releasing a lager called Ground Top, which is a craft lager. Obviously, Ground Top. The link is there to make for yourself. I don't really need to explain it. So the labels are done. We've had Grady working on the label, and we've signed that off. And now we're just working with the brewery and the guys there to finish off making the lager, and it will be available to buy online in packs of, I believe, 4, 6, 12, and 24. Delivered to your door. And it's going to be the first release of many, I assume, the way we're discussing it and stuff. As long as people buy it. So if people could buy it, that would be great, because it'll mean...
Yeah, because then it won't be released again. If not.
It's affordable. But, the conversations we've had with the company we're doing it with, like, I think this lager is brewed in Burnley, a really small craft brewery and stuff. And like, we're doing it in a way to support these breweries as well that are normally that are usually providing craft beers and so on for pubs that are dominantly selling to football fans. And these pubs are now shut. And the knock-on effect through this whole pandemic is now you've got behind the pubs is breweries who are small breweries with small amounts of members of staff that have already brewed copious amounts of alcohol and so on, or ready for this, and then suddenly, bang, it's all shut down, and they're at risk of now another industry that's kind of like on the end of the kind of line at the moment. So we're going big in the sense that we want to kind of make it approachable for everyone, and we're going big on the marketing with it, but at the same time, we're kind of trying to support the small breweries and keep them going over. So if everyone could pick some up and we'll share a few lagers together, it'll be awesome. But it will be, we're just releasing one for now, and then there'll be, as that starts to sell and fingers crossed becomes more popular over the months, we will then start to introduce more of them and start taking fan feedback of what they want to see next. Whether it's, I think we have the option of stouts and pale ales and bitters and everything. So I'm sure, Gary, you'll have some suggestions of what we'll be releasing next.
Yeah, this is kind of my domain. Alcohol. I can deal with alcohol. Yeah.
This is where Terrace Gary's straight.
This is where
Gary's like clean those 7 cans of Stones out of the fridge. Terrace ground hops coming in.
I've ordered a crate.
Get rid of that Barnsley bitter crap and get me some Terrace Lager. That's what it'll be. Yeah, so a couple more comments. Phil Russell, just going back to your comment about the attention to detail in terms of sleeve sponsorship. But tonight, Sheffield Wednesday. Oh, sorry, Sheffield Wednesday tonight. I've got a red and white sleeve sponsor. That's
rest my case.
It's important.
Rest my case. Like, why can't I know who's sponsoring. I saw a bit about that earlier. We actually had loose conversations this week about having that shirt sponsorship. We're very close with Sheffield Wednesday. It's one of our closest licenses and stuff, and there were conversations. We were interested in sponsoring that sleeve for different reasons. We couldn't kind of make it happen. And yeah, I think it's a gambling company, but you can't. There was some feedback on Twitter and stuff earlier from fans about, it's another gambling company and so on. And yes, I can understand that reaction to it, and there is a lot of gambling sponsors in football at the moment, but at the same time, these clubs are in tough times at the moment. Fans are aware of how much clubs are struggling, but I think these kind of sponsorships and stuff, it is so important for clubs right now. It is extra income that is just not there with ticket sales and stuff. But on the flip side, I would have liked to have seen a brand go, okay, so your bitter rivals playing red and white, let's black out our logo. We'll do it black on white. We'll do it white on a black square or something. You're still getting your brand across. Is someone really going to not be able to read your logo if it's not in red? Of course they're not. It's I think more respect needs to be given to the shirts, basically. Whether it's a gambling company, whether it's us, whether it's whoever. I think respecting the shirt and the club's identity and what fans connect with, I think is one of the most important things regarding shirt sponsorship. And I think it's something that's been respected quite a lot lately with front of shirt sponsorship. Obviously, I see, because of designing the kit mugs and stuff with requests, and we've been filling up with new products or kits and stuff. I've noticed, with a lot of this season's kits, a lot of companies are willing to change their colours of their logo to fit in with the shirt. A lot of companies that have got green and yellow logos, for example, are just putting the logo in full white so it fits in with the blend of the shirt and stuff. And I think that's one of the most important things on a football shirt is clubs need that sponsorship. It's a vital income for any club, but I think as a brand, granted you're paying for that sponsorship, and I fully respect that, but I think you need to respect football fans' connection to club colours and identity of the club as a number one priority whenever you're sponsoring a football shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. Last couple of comments then, and then we'll pick some winners for the vouchers that are ticker taping across the bottom of the screen. Lee Francis says, Terrace Lager, is there anything you can't do? So,
there's nothing we can't do.
Is there anything you can't do? Can both of you juggle?
I can't
what can't you do?
I can juggle 2 things, but that's fine.
Yeah. Can you surprise one of you can't swim, ride a bike?
We can both juggle 2 jobs.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we've juggled 2 jobs before. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think it's there's a lot of things we can't do, but it's I love just seeing what we can do. I think that's the excitement of it. God knows what will come next and stuff. But we only we only do things that fit within our brand and that we can connect with our customers on and our fans on. And
it's cool. It's cool.
Lager. I want some in my fridge.
Definitely cool. I'll tell you something when we get off air as well. It'll make you laugh. Anyway, before we move on to that, Jake, and this will be the last question because we need to start wrapping it up. If you could have one player to be your brand ambassador, who would you choose and why? Good question.
One person?
It just says one player, not a person.
One player as a brand ambassador. Ooh.
Current RX.
Not specified, Paul. It just says one player.
I can't think of who I'd choose, but any player that's been a one club player. I think loyalty speaks volumes.
I need Nicholas and Elka any day.
They're very few and far between, though. I know Carl.
Yeah, they're very. Yeah, there's not too many of them, but
I'm just trying to think off the top of my head now.
I think if you go past, there's probably was there a couple of the class of '92? Was Gary Neville a one club?
To be honest,
yeah, Gary Neville was.
To be honest, I think I'd pick Gary Neville just because his banter is probably hilarious. He just posted on, obviously United have just beat Liverpool, and he done that thing with Carragher where he posted a picture of himself with a glass of wine in his mouth that just says jovial. He's literally one. And to be fair, he is an amazing pundit.
I was literally having this conversation like about 20 minutes ago. I think he's amazing as a commentator, as a pundit.
He's incredible.
But
I agree
let's go with Gary Neville. One club
Gary
man.
Neville. Yeah. Very interesting. Darren Snow, this is probably one of the most famous one club men. Matt Letizia, obviously, down at Southampton,
I don't know. I don't read too much into it, but he gets quite a lot of flack on Twitter at the moment, doesn't he? Does he have very opinionated views? I don't look into it at all, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. What I've realised about Twitter very recently is it's just largely an echo chamber, and ultimately you end up wasting your life trying to change people's opinion that you're not going to change. So you might as well just take them times back and just, I don't know, look out a window or something, because we can't do hotel something, innit?
Yeah, very good point. Very good point.
I'm not really sure why he's so disliked.
I don't follow him, to be fair, so I can't comment if he's...
There's a lot of political posts he picks up, and that's always a...
Yeah, it's always going to polarise people.
Yeah,
true. Struggle. Lads, that kind of brings us to an end, but before we go, we better pick some voucher winners, and also I've got an announcement for another episode that's coming up later in the week with myself. Lads, do you want to pick one, or am I picking one, or what are we doing?
I'll let you do it.
Well, I think
I'll choose Phil. Was it Phil Russell? Because I liked his question about the sleeve sponsorship. I like that someone was willing to listen to me waffle on about how important it is where you put a logo on a football shirt as a sponsor.
Yeah, let me just find that comment so we can definitely confirm.
It mentioned about the red and white on the Sheffield Wednesday shirt.
Yes, Phil Russell. It is indeed. I think he's
that stuck out for me because there's not a lot of people that have the same vision as me about putting logos on shirts and the design element and the identity element.
Yeah, Paul, have you got a pick of any that we've read out that you really want?
Paul's on his phone looking at him now, isn't
he? Yeah,
you're so ahead of the game.
Honestly,
do you know what it was? I was halfway through this pot, so like I'm on my laptop and my actual computer.
You like looking at yourself on screen?
No, I was thinking, how can I get to the YouTube link without going like this? I'm just like trying to get behind there. Right. Let's say Dean Seddon, because he's from Preston.
Right, there you go then. Dean Seddon and Phil. Contact the guys at the Terrace by DM or email or whatever.
DM the Terrace Twitter.
And to be fair, just because he made the announced Preston joke, which is actually my joke.
That's going to be an
it's your favourite Twitter joke.
Yeah.
So, for the people who have tuned into this, if you've enjoyed it, thanks very much. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that other stuff. Smash a like, I'm led to believe, is the latest phrase in YouTube world. So you don't miss out on anything. We are going to sort of upstep the Terrace podcasting game. It's been a bit of a strange time. We had some grabbing plans and they kind of took a back burner because of this horrible disease that's floating around at the moment.
Think that like a year ago, this was all supposed to be in a studio every week or every month, wasn't it?
Like, I could
We've
probably...
still got credit. We've still got credits with the studio.
I could, to be honest, lads, I could probably make another podcast on the evolution of certainly my podcasting since COVID. It's been interesting, to say the least.
Everyone does a podcast now, though, don't they?
Mate, I've been doing podcasts. I know this is not the case, but I get the feeling like maybe 4 years ago it was like me and Joe Rogan and that was it. But I know that's not the case. But now, like, literally everybody has got a podcast. Like every ex-footballer, ex-TV person, ex-soldier, everybody's got a podcast nowadays. I mean, obviously, you know what our podcast is. There must be 65 of them now. There's just podcasts everywhere. But do you know what? Fair play to people. They're going to stick their head above the parapet. And want to provide content that people might want to listen to, then fair play to him. So, apart from Ross Kemp, because he just talks over people, anybody but him. I'm going with on. Ross, if you're listening, you're definitely not. Tough shit. Anyway, coming up later in the week, I'm going to be joined by Tom Gorringe from Bristol Rovers. He's a director there, and I'm going to get into him about how COVID has affected the footballing game in general. The guy's obviously here. No Tom, so it'd be good to catch up with him and have a chat about football in general, but also the effect of this terrible pandemic that we're all sort of living through at the moment. So yeah, tune in. That'll be out, I think, probably Thursday evening. Or Friday, certainly, when I can get a chance to upload it. Big thanks to everybody who has commented, all that type of stuff. Don't forget, if you were picked out to win a voucher, contact the guys and they'll sort you out. Big thanks to everybody. Keep safe. Wash your hands. Don't lick each other. All that type of stuff. See you later. Lads, thanks very much. We'll catch you again soon.
See you later, Gary.